Welcome to First Peoples Cultural Council's 2025 online learning series, Our Stories, Our Voices. FPCC supports language, culture, heritage, and arts revitalization for BC First Nations. Our offices are located in the village of Hujotlip, also known as Sartlip, near Brentwood Bay, and Tecumloops to Schwetmuk. The music you just heard playing was from Sherry Ptolemy, and the song is called The Roots. How to Sherry for offering your song to set the tone today. Robert Thompson, Henudi Kion. My name is Robert Thompson. I'm from the Haida Nation. I also have Ukraine, Scottish, and English ancestry. I'm joining from the unceded territory of the Coquitlam First Nations. I'm a member of the FPCC Arts team, and I'll be introducing today's session. I'm going to note that your mics and cameras are off for the presentation. You can feel free to share in the chat where you're joining from. I see that's already happening, which is really, really awesome to see. Today's session will be recorded and posted on YouTube at a later date. It'll be approximately 60 minutes with some time for question and answer at the end. You can ask these questions through the Q&A function on Zoom. We ask that these questions to be focused on today's topic of music and language revitalization and or the panelists. You can ask about their artistic practice or language work. If you have any questions or offerings or feedback for FPCC, feel free to email us at ols@fpcc.ca and we'll direct those questions or feedback to the appropriate people. I've been quite fortunate to sit in and join our three guests for the preparation and planning of this panel. It's been so inspiring to hear about their individual language and creative journeys. They are gifted in their ability to tell and restore stories, strengthening their connection to their families and ancestors. I've been taught by Haida teachers like Dr. Jaskwan Badar that restoring these connections is an act of Yagudan. Yagudan is the Haida word for respect. I'm very excited to start this panel on music and language revitalization. And I'll do this so by introducing the panel facilitator, Lisa Duptuk. Why, Lisa?
Why wachtwich sitnin Rob. Ama hupol da trachnisnisam Lisa Dewayu Zimsianu Kitsim Kalim Diwa Watgu Ada Ganhada Diptegu Sualauk Susum Alyach Ayalt Ganutli Deu Alahubum Lakwangin Adeline Roper Wanadinidze Etsu Arlene Deptak Wadinoyu Blair Deptak Wadina Guadu Ayalt gnu wilt suelait machdut gehoolk, shugaina, at a sagolita, at a dimsel haiki bao, at a nidzeitsu. My name is Lisa. I'm Simsien from Kitsim Kalam. I'm from the Ganhada Raven clan, and I'm grateful to be located on the Kwangin territory. And I'm grateful to my mentor, Huhuolk, and my teachers, my Samalyach teachers, Shugaina, Sagolita, Dimsel Haikibao, and my grandmother, Adeline Roper. My grandmother's Adeline Roper from the Ganhada clan. My mother is Arlene Deptuk, and my father is Blair Deptuk. And I'm so ablukwa. Abaskanu, I'm so excited for this evening of conversation and sharing with Sabina and Kalila. And before we begin, I would love to acknowledge the sacredness of this gathering today, the sacredness of what we will be sharing with each other and with you all. And with that, I would like to invite everyone to put a hand or two hands to their hearts. And you can close your eyes if you would like. And take a deep breath in. And I'll share the phrase, Sakait Gilam Got. Sakait Gilam Got. And that means of one heart. Sakait Gilam Got. Why, wah. We can open our eyes. And I'd like to invite Sabina and Kalila to introduce themselves and share a little bit before we really dive into it. Again, I'm so excited to be here with both of you guys. What a beautiful, beautiful evening to be sharing. And yeah, so why toich sitnism. Sabina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Haritiane Hunasti Huasahdil Sabina Dennis sa hatni. Luxilio habashasta. Nadle te hasya. Nadle bankat. Sioch taba nadle bankat. I live on and reside in Nadle Huetan territory on the lake Nadle Bankat here and right on the shores. And I'm coming to you from my home, my Sioch, and just really happy you are all here today. It's Stibe Hunti. This makes my heart really happy. And to hear those words in that way and acknowledgement of respect and unity and our collective purpose and agreement with Udigi, the biggest our medicine, our the great spirit. The, and I just really respect this circle that we're in. So I'm excited to hear from everyone today and look forward to hearing more about your music and where you're going, where your creativity is leading you. Is creativity is just so needed right now in so many ways, and it'll be inspiring. I know that. So must see.
Oh, toich sitnin Sabina. Bluko amapas. Beautiful. Kalila. Waiwa.
True. Uplasish kili larempanin, kuatsi tamti hasatuk, uhuks no iaksu nasasluk, uhuks opmiaksu wakitisis. Histakship sahuzat uish kismat, yo suomi nina hewan, klayohuas na chusi hith. My name is Kili Larampanin. I'm coming to you live from my nation in Nahauset here on the West Coast. It's really good to be here. My new channel name is Hasatuk, and that was given to me by one of my late grandmothers, who was a like a staunch woman in our revitalizing our language. And so I hold that name, and it's really special to me. It means loud voice, loud, vibrant voice. She always recognized that in me being a musician and a speaker here. So yeah, it's good to be here. I'm excited for the conversation ahead, and just hello to all those that I can't see. I can feel that you're here. So, Chu, thank you for having me.
Why, wach toich sitnis. These two are some powerful storytellers, musicians, and I'm really as well excited to learn from each other and just engage in this conversation surrounding music and language revitalization and the interconnectedness of it all. So I'd like to start us off by each of us just sharing a bit about our language journeys, our music journeys, and just give some background on that. So I can start us off and speak a little bit about my music journey, my language journey. They started around the same time, and I believe 2020, during COVID actually is when I started learning some Aliyah alongside my mother, at the through a course through the University of Alaska online. They started offering them during COVID, and our teacher was Shugaina. And I started learning guitar around the same time. And both of those things, I don't think it was any coincidence that both of those doors opened at the same time. I think up until that point, I was quite lost and I wasn't quite sure why. I don't even think I knew that I was really lost. And both of these things, some aliyah and music, as soon as those doors opened, I was like, oh, okay, here I go. And starting my Somalia journey alongside my mother is really something I hold sacred in my heart as well. It was a couple years after my grandmother passed that I started learning Somalia alongside my mother, and then shortly after that class with Shugaina, I was connected with my mentor, Huhuolk, who I'm so, so grateful for. And I spent 3 years in the Mentor Apprentice program with her. Um, and we did 300 hours of some Aliyah immersion. And in those 300 hours, I found a new version of myself and I began seeing life through a different lens, through some Aliyah lens. I had no idea the perspective I was about to gain when I started learning from Huchulk, and I think that perspective really is where I write my music from. And it's how I walk into every single room. It's how I stand on this earth now. Um, yeah, so that's a bit where I'm coming from, and as far as my music journey so far, yeah, I started learning guitar and I just began writing about my experiences, about what I felt, what I saw, um, and yeah, and I began a project with some of my very, very beloved friends about a year ago, and they've been creating music alongside me ever since, and we've been playing shows together and telling stories together. And yeah, it's been really powerful and beautiful. And I'm excited to see where both of these things lead me in the future. And I'm very excited to hear about Sabina and Kalila, your experiences as well too with your language and music. Kalila, would you like to share some?
Yeah, for sure. I think music for me, it always came at a young age. I was fortunate enough to grow up around my culture a lot. And so like going to potlatches or different things and always hearing our traditional songs. And I grew up in Port Alberni and there was a Nuu immersion school. And so I started first with our traditional songs and dances, and I really took to that. My parents would always tell me stories of how before I can even speak, I'd make up traditional songs, and I'd just pretend like, yeah, it would just come to me, I guess. And so at a very young age, my family, not many parents, I feel, would give their kids something to make noise with. But my family like saw that that was something that I took interest in. And by the time I was 8, I picked up the guitar. My dad um, I grew up hearing music my whole life. My dad played and my mom would sing and they'd sometimes sing together. Um, and so I knew I was like, I want to play the guitar. I want to do that. And so my dad is like, okay. And he taught me like the basics and then I just took it from there. And I always like knew that I wanted to talk about things in my songs that were important to me. Like I did write like random little songs. I remember I wrote one country song called like Dusty Track, and I was like pretending I was like heartbroken or something. Um, but for the most part, I was like, okay, no, I'm gonna write a song about like the commercialization of Christmas, or I was like, yeah, I was trying to be so deep about it. And that was my beginning journey of music. And just from there, I kept going and kept writing. And there was a lot of things happening in my community and issues and stuff that we were going through that I thought was important to speak upon. And I didn't feel shy with a guitar. Like I felt like if I had a guitar and I sang about it, then I could do it anywhere and I can do it in front of anyone. And so um, and then it wasn't until I became like a young teenager, my dad went on the language journey himself to become, um, yeah, to just take it on and learn as much as he could from our elders. And and so with that, we always wrote music. And this time I'd sit down and we'd be like, okay, how do I say this in new channels? How would we say this? Or and it would, and we just started writing music in majority in new channels. And that was my way of learning these words for the first time, or um, yeah, getting reintroduced to how to even say the sounds that we have in our language. Um, and I use that as a tool. So music has been my way to reconnect back with my language. So yeah, I've been having fun with it. Yeah, that's me.
Look what Toych Noon for sharing. Why was Sabina?
Ooh, su'at, you guys, you people, awesome people. Um, it just made me think about how important it is that we support our children and each other in the process of writing, creating, performing. Um, it's any facet of creativity in a positive creativity, we really need to foster that in each other, even as adults and even as grandparent. Like I'm a grandma and I still need encouragement because sometimes it's hard to be very authentic, but it's also the most important detail in our art is that we're being extremely authentic. And we know that as cultures, because as cultures, it is a deep disrespect to alter or utilize other people's cultures without their permission. And in the same way, our own songs being so authentic deserves the same respect. And so I see a lot of people realizing that it's not well for them to be so self-harm, judgmental, all those things of who you are, because you know your voice is important. And the way we develop and grow as artists, it takes a lifetime. Like Kalila's saying, she started very, very young. Like it almost sounds like maybe she even came out like "Ah," singing. Some of our first notes are like a song or like a loud voice, like they knew instantly that you had something to say. And some of us discover things and just explode. Like it just happens like a blossom really quick, like and that's just the beauty of creativity, right? So I'm really honored to be here because the journey's been a long and interesting one for me, going from way back and having different sort of oppressive natures and patriarchy towards females in the role of like a leader, as in able to sing. It's like a leadership role to be like, no, I can have a voice and I can say and I can do. And at that time, to go through those boundaries and to now be at a time where we're being supported, even having initiatives to help us to achieve these goals, is incredible. And I'm very thankful to for all the support and all the facets of support, especially when we encourage each other from the heart. And then we appreciate the authenticity of the art. We may not understand the art at all times, but we respect that. It's They're deserving of that respect. Let's see.
Oh, somehow and sitting Sabina. It's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, I feel that in my gut, in my heart. Um, I'm super excited to have some clips that we are all gonna share of our some songs. And I'm not supposed to swear, but I'm going to harness my excitement because it's so cool and I'm so excited. So I'm gonna keep it cool and we're gonna watch some really awesome clips. Um, I think we have Sabina up first. Is there anything you want to say beforehand, Sabina, of this particular song, of this particular clip?
I just have to credit Mika Morgan Hall, who is one of my friends from like childhood and continued on, that her words are, she's a poet and it's deserving of a platform. So that's why I'm sharing this live performance done by an association. There's a link to it, I'm pretty sure, if anyone wants to watch it. Thank you.
Mm, totally.
Oh, sorry, just you could keep playing it, but the other is my sister Kambaya's Dennis. on
all that has been is happening now. Nothing has ever been able to stop it. It just keeps going, and I am there in it. I know all the secrets, all the reasons, the rationalizations, also the justifications. And they still don't make sense to me. I thought it was over, but it just keeps continuing. And I realize I truly did not understand as much as I thought I did. The oppressed trauma of our experience made me think we were all good. In some ways, in many ways. But I was oh so wrong. I was oh so wrong. They did such a great job. They should commend themselves. Really, congratulations. You earned an A in genocide. This star is for a job well done in oppression. You passed the course. Now you can move on up. Up, up, up and away. You've come this far. You're here to stay. Up, up, up and away. From all we are made. Built so high and touch the sky. Not within earth. You create the straight lines to rule us all. Cut, drawn, and quartered. We exist no more. Cut our hair and our tongues. Cut our mother. Gouge her. Tear her apart. Desecrate her lifeblood. Blood of our ancestors dripping. Now all you see is red. 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 Red. Now all you see is red.
Look what I'm up as. So beautiful, Sabina. So strong and emotional and direct. Beautiful. That brings so many emotions. Whew. Is there anything you'd like to share about that song, Sabina?
That song means a lot to me because that's like a collaborative when things happen that you think are things are going wrong way you think, but then all of a sudden your trajectory is shifted and then you're like, wow, I really love that. So when things seem like you have to use your creativity to work things out. And that happened for me because I had lost my voice entirely the night before. And Mika and we've been friends for a long time. And so we collaborated on our poetry and our music together. And there's a session, and I think it has 3 or 4 songs on it, maybe 3, but each one is, picked very so carefully through the wee hours of the night so that we could perform it the next day. And, um, to me, it just really is a really clear depiction of some of the trauma and suffering that we go through societally and internally, and how even though we've been through it, we're lucky because we see it and we know it and we're aware of the oppression and the trauma. And that is a lot because awareness brings healing. And that's why our nations are healing. We're continuously healing. We never stopped. We've never stopped addressing the fact that we've needed healing. And that's our advantage in all of the trauma and oppression and colonization and all the things that we're facing, and especially the land degradation, the waters, the animals, all those things that we really care for. And the purpose for life is, to me, the music is a reflection of that care of who we are, of our spirit. And so that's why it's so beautiful, the acknowledgement of the importance of the spirit in the work we're doing when we're filming things, especially because it can be a whole nother way of looking at ourselves, and we have to be careful with our spirit when we do that. And I think that's why a lot of people didn't want pictures taken a long time ago, is because it can alter the way we think of ourselves. And they knew that, and they were careful, always so careful to protect the spirit. That was like all the laws were built to design to protect the spirit, that we don't lose our spirit, that we don't get bad energy towards our spirit, or all these things, all these laws created. And I just feel that the music and the art and recording and making these videos and things is, to me, it's like a ceremony, and it's not to reflect upon, to feel any sort of ego, because it becomes outside yourself, and it's not really you. It's a depiction of a moment in time that you've changed from. And so to not hold so much attachment to these videos, but that they may bring in the future that moment in history when we had these very important memories and feelings, because we've seen our elders, we've heard the fluency of the language, and we've understood the fluency of the culture, and that we need to reconnect. And we know that, all of us know that we need to start reconnecting with the land more and more, and we need to live on our lands. We don't need people to tell us, especially ourselves, that we can't just go make a camp wherever we want like we used to. It's our way. And so I'm just thankful that all these people are here, and that's all I have to say. Must see.
Oh,
I just wanted to say, like, I've had the privilege of watching Sabina perform, and it is like how you said, it does feel like ceremony when I watch you perform, because you just, the way yeah, the passion and the raw emotions that you have when you play live is really amazing to witness. I always remember the first time I saw you live, I think it was in Vancouver at maybe the Wild Salmon Caravan. And I was on my way out and then I heard you start to play and I had to turn around because I was like, who is that? And I could just feel like it was, yeah, it was really refreshing to hear you and so I always love to see you perform and to hear you play. So yeah, thank you. Mm.
Oh, Toyxinin. Yeah, you can really feel the power and the spirit being called in of these songs, even over Zoom here. I felt that so deeply. I'm wondering, Sabina, what kind of protection practices you have in place when sharing such raw emotional stories. Do you feel protected typically by your audiences even? I'm sure singing alongside your sibling and your longtime friend is also feels protection, like protection. I'm just wondering what that experience is like presenting such an emotional and strong piece.
I found, as far as protection goes, is just follow your laws of your people. Those are, like I said, those are the designed, known, to me, it's science. Those laws are there to protect our spirits. So we don't want to get bolstered and an ego if there's a big crowd and they really respond well. And we don't want to get dragged through the mud if the crowd is just loud and drunk and doesn't even listen or care whatsoever. So we have to kind of learn to utilize our ancestral tools because we all have different ways and we have our own internal instinct. And that is one of our, to me, the most powerful medicine we have is our internal knowing of our body, our spirit, and our relationship to the creator in all things. So knowing all those things is such a huge advantage to, and utilizing that and knowing yourself is a really important part of protecting your spirit and protecting the spirit of your music as well.
Beautiful. I'm really glad you said that. That's something that's been on my heart as well too. Just with sharing music out in this community and collaborating with others. I've been very recently actually, just bringing my Smelach and Simsian protocol that I learned from Huchuoth and my mom and my grandmother into the spaces I occupy with music and into our protection practices and our safety protocol and practices. So it's been really recent and powerful to integrate some Aliyah protocol and our ayal, our laws, into sharing and collaborating. Kalila, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tricky one. I think the way I just protect myself in my works is kind of aligning myself with other artists who are on that same path, maybe. So like I've had the privilege of being able to perform at the Two Rivers remix. And that's where I see Sabina all the time with Mika. And just surrounding yourself with, yeah, like-minded artists who are also on that path of reconnection or revitalizing. Um, and yeah, and sharing the stage with artists who also support your work and want, like, they understand the meanings behind your songs, um, or yeah, and are passionate about that as well. Because I've performed a few in some non-Indigenous spaces, and it's it's always fun to like I'm like these people have no context at all what this material is about. So it's always fun to sometimes do that. But yeah, I think just with my surroundings and as well as my family, just they're a big support and yeah, I think that's how I keep myself safe. Yeah.
Look, well, Glam. Why, wah. I think if I'm gonna keep us on track, I'd like to pull up my clip actually now, and this is just a clip from a live performance with my band called Savvy, alongside my friend Joe, Bradley, and Alyssa. Yeah, and I think that's all I'll say about it right now, and then I'll talk a bit about it afterwards. Bye, wah. Why, wah,
Tunzu.
oh, Toixlinin, yeah. That song is called Perfume, and it kind of I'll just speak a little bit about it. It kind of came after a bit of a ego death I think I had. I had been moving through life in one way, and I had been kind of I had been ignoring myself in many ways. I had been ignoring my desires. I had been ignoring, um, honestly, some of my friends, and yeah, and it all kind of came to a head at one point when I was visiting Vancouver, and I ended up just kind of randomly somewhere in Vancouver just breaking down, and my parents actually came. I called them and they came and picked me up, and it was just absolutely, I had just been knocked down, and I kind of had to face myself. I had to face some things about myself that I didn't really want to face. And I had to come back to my friends and come back to my family, and I remember my parents picking me up, and I just felt like a little kid. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've just messed up." I just It had come after a lot of mistakes and a lot of, yeah, weird choices, and then I brought it to my friends. I brought this song to my friends, and it's so funny because I all these lyrics I have are kind of confronting these things about myself that I don't necessarily like, but have been present throughout my life, and yeah, I was kind of confronting them and moving through them, and allowing room for change and growth, and but yeah, the were kind of like almost self-deprecating, and my friend Jo, the other vocalist, um, she came in when we were practicing, and she had written some lyrics in between the spaces in the chorus, and she had these beautiful, like, uplifting lyrics, and one of them is literally, "I'll pick you up, I'll drive you home." And she didn't know that that song was written about a time where I literally had to call my parents to pick me up and drive me home. And it was just like this really beautiful, it really felt like a spiritual moment of like, okay, this is like understood um in a way that I don't even think I could say in words, and collaborating with them is feels like that every single time. It feels like its own little ceremony, and it's so built on love, and yeah, and I'm really, really grateful to collaborate with them. yeah, again, my friend Joe, Alyssa, and Bradley, they really uplift me and let me say anything I want up there, really. Yeah, does anybody have any thoughts? I'm also really curious as to who your guys' collaborators are and yeah. Kalila?
Oh no, that was cool. It was the first time I saw your clip. Yeah, I like the style. It's fun. I like what you're talking about. Because I think with music, I've always had a hard time with the lyrics. And I think sometimes songs that you don't necessarily want to write are the ones that come out, and it's just kind of like therapy. There's songs out there that I've written that I'm like, ah, yeah, no, these are never gonna see the light of day. But but yeah, so I think that's cool that you were able to make that out of that situation and kind of use art to work through it is a really cool thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's neat what you're saying, like about how you can write something and it may not or it may be about something, but the perception from somebody else is so different, right? So it's almost like we can find healing within our pain sometimes through what we're saying, because sometimes it can be taken the complete opposite. And I've found meaning in songs, deep meaning in different songs that, I discover way later in time. Like if you start writing now, when you go 30 years in time, you're going to see, whoa, like this is still happening now for people. This is something I should have shared with all those, or not should have, but if you share, all of this information to them and get them on the wavelength that they're understood, that they're going through what they're going through, they don't stand alone in, and that there's people like friends to help you through that. So, like looking back and seeing what I wrote back 30 years ago compared to now, I'm still looking back and I'm like, those are very valuable. Some of the best writing I did was when I was like really young, and people love it. It's really great. I feel the energy of it, and it's so what I was talking about, that authenticity, there is so much of that when you're beginning and starting your musical journey. And yeah, I just look forward to hearing more and more from you and watching as you're developing more and more into those vocals and those like you're saying about lyricism and all those things. For me, it's neat to hear other people's perspectives and how they write music, but mine is just it's so obscure how I write, and everyone has their own style, and that's what makes the art so beautiful. And I just really love that performance, and I just can't wait to see you live play
Oh,
or listen to your album or music video or any of those things. It's so
thanks.
fun. Hmm.
I I'm really looking forward to the day that I get to see both of you guys live and get to meet in person. Yeah, I'm really curious about everybody's creative process as well in writing songs. If anybody has anything they like to share. My dad once described it like a faucet. And some people just have the tap turned on all the time and it just flows. And I kind of feel like that. Sometimes lyrics will just kind of come to me and I have to just pull out my phone and wherever I am, just like I'm sure people look at me crazy, but like sing into my phone and it just kind of continues and then I'll have to run home and it just like comes out. And yeah, Sabine, I agree. A lot of the time I don't even know what it's about and I'll find out later. And I kind of just let myself be okay with that I don't really know what this is about right now. I don't know what this is telling me, but I'll find out. And often that finding out comes with sharing. I've gained some new and really valuable perspectives on my songs through sharing them and hearing what other people take and what other people, you know, hear. Yeah, so I'm really curious as to what your guys's creative process is like, what it looks like for you to sit down and create a song. Either of you have any thoughts off the top of your head?
Yeah, I'll go. I find music's first for me. Music always comes first. I'll I'll record a bunch of like cool riffs that I think could be something, and then but like yeah, lyrics have always been difficult, but I've always written music with my dad, and so I think that became an easier process to do, was coming in and being like, okay, this is the topic I want. Let's think of some neutronal words around that, and we build from there. Um, and then the last two songs I wrote, I was part of an Indigenous music uh, program in Toronto, and we basically went in and I did two fresh songs. I like didn't come with any material, and I like wanted to give myself the challenge of writing just from scratch. And that's when the songs that ended up coming out weren't really about like my other songs of these indigenous issues. It was about feelings. I was like, oh, this is weird. This is different. So I think my process has changed now recently, where I'm such a perfectionist and I find like if it's not good from the get-go, then I'm gonna scrap it. But just allowing myself to not be perfect and like being like it's a process, of course, like yeah, it might come out sounding like trash to begin with, but to not give up on that idea and to build upon it has been something I'm trying to teach myself to do. Um, but yeah, it's always evolving, I feel. Songs will come random, but yeah, that's been recent.
Mm, I really feel that, everything you said. Yeah. Why, what?
Yeah, that's really cool, like the different styles of writing for sure, and it does evolve. You will find yourself finding different inspirations from all kinds of things, and one of my favorite songs is it says she mourns you before she kills you. She devours you after she mourns you when she kills you. And then it says she warned you do no harm to. She warned you do no harm to those around you. And that song is actually inspired of my dog Tutu, who killed a squirrel, and she was sad afterward. She went and buried it, and she had her own sad funeral for the squirrel she'd killed. So, you know, like these songs come to us for different reasons, and the meanings are different for everyone who witnesses them and hears them. So I just find that with the creative process, it's really about just allowing the self to really feel. Just allow myself to really be free in my feelings and what I'm talking about, and then refining it, because sometimes those feelings and emotions are not appropriate for others to have to listen to, even in my feeling of what I want to present. But I do enjoy listening to other people's really heavy emotions. I do love that, but I'm not depicting that in my music so much, that I don't want that at the forefront. But I wouldn't judge others for sharing those feelings and emotions that, you know, that they're free to feel. And I just find that as long as you can capture it somehow, and just if it's really good, you'll continue to have it in your mind and it'll just keep going and it won't give up on you. Some songs come and go, and maybe they come back someday, but many just come and go. Those ones that really stick, you know it's good when you're starting to hear it in your own head and you're like, holy, that song's good, and it just keeps going. So just go with your gut on it. Like Kalila was saying, some of her songs she may not want to always put forth, but they're still there in the arsenal of like your feelings and emotions of what you could bring out when somebody's like, I really need a emotional song, Kalila. You got one? You're like, yeah, I got one of those, you know. Or, you know, just thank you for hearing me out though, you guys. I
Yeah.
look forward to hearing Kalila's video too, and talking about that one quite a bit, hopefully, too. as
Perfect.
well. Not that I'm trying to move on from this discussion. I am just saying it for some reason. Sorry about that, you guys.
No,
Let's see.
that is the perfect segue. That was my next. I was gonna keep.
You were already, I'm trying to do your job, eh? Like you, what am I? Like want to get like promoted or something here. Sorry, I'm not the chief here. Thank you so much, Lisa. You're doing a beautiful job.
Oh,
Excellent.
thanks, Aneen. I'm
Love
really
it.
enjoying this conversation, and I am so excited, yes, to
Me
watch
too.
Kalila's video. Kalila, do you have any introduction for this beautiful video? I'm so excited.
Yeah. This has been a long time in the making. I know for sure my mama's in here. My mom's probably one of the participants. She put a lot of work. This is a family production. I made a album that is yet to come out, and I think that's part of the perfectionism, but it's also a part of making sure it's done in the right way for the subject matter, I guess, for me. But I actually received the grant from First Peoples to record my first album, and they were so like understanding about the process of what goes into it, and just yeah. So I'm excited. This was filmed. I was living in New Zealand for a few years, and that's where I recorded my album, and um, yeah, it was crazy times. I just went through a breakup and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna put it into my art, put it, channel all that energy. Um, and my brother's a filmmaker, my older brother Tanner, and he's like, okay, let's do a music video. And I wasn't even at home, and I was like, okay. And so I asked my mom, and she's like, okay, we're on it. My mom's been a filmmaker as well, like her majority of her life, and she's like, okay, we got it. Shaya's gonna be in it. Hallie's gonna, my little sisters, and Hallie's gonna be in it. And we came up with a concept of what the song meant to us. And my family's like my biggest supporters. They know, my sisters know all the lyrics front to back. They know it more than I do. And and so we took the concept of Miklana, and Miklana in Nuchanoth is war cry. And it speaks to um the the generational hurt that comes with trauma, and our people have endured so much trauma, and sometimes what we see in our communities is the hurt becomes perpetuated by our own people sometimes, and it's just a vicious cycle. And so it talks about the history of who we are as Nuu-chah-nulth people. We were whalers, we were warriors, and that's still within us. And so it's about calling that warrior within you. And at the time, we were living in a place called Matskuyat, and on our traditional territory. And this was the site of the longest running residential school on the coast here. And my family, we went in and were brought in to demolish and take down some of the buildings and live there for the winter because it's too harsh where we were living before. And so this space was a space with a lot of heavy history. Um, but it was before it was a residential school, it was a village site. And so after, it was beautiful to see the evolution of my siblings growing up there and bringing that joy and that love and life back into a place that had so much hurt. And so yeah, this video was a family production. So it's the first, everyone's seeing it for the first time, so it's exciting. This is Maklana. You could play the video.
Unakik na wewa Kamit harkwa Shlemagsti Ya akwa wa ish Kwising chik lufkin Chakach pia clean we walk. Wiki shut hefafku. We're worthless king Chloe. Uyasuk na asukwachish. There was a time our women were treasured, not just for pleasure, supposed to protect her. Spirits were shattered in a million directions. No more protection, just an obsession. So clear we walk. Waking shots is lost cool. We're what's lost king Chloe. Uyasok na asukwachish. Find your warrior within.
Oh,
Oh,
that was sweet.
oh my goodness. I like need a second. That was so amazing, Kalila. Is there anything you want to share about that after viewing?
Yeah, no, it's just exciting to have it out. And it'll be out for the public very, very soon. So you guys got a little sneak peek. Um, But yeah, I just thought it would be really cool to have that here because for First Peoples have been like major support for my work and my art. So I'm always grateful for them. Um, and yeah, I think yeah, my that's one of my sister Shaya, she played the warrior spirit and she was the one lip syncing. She's always really shy about the video, but no, it was like I said, a family affair that went into that. And my sister um like weaved that shawl she made and she made the mask and her and my dad like made the war club and she skinned that bear she was wearing um and my little sister Hallie was under the weather at the time and she just powered through and they all support me and my work so much, so I'm always so grateful that they go above and beyond to help me with this and for my mom for doing directing and editing and all. So it's yeah, very grateful for all of them.
My goodness. What is that song like to play live? It feels so huge and so powerful. Do you usually have your family there when you're performing live? What is that?
Yeah, yeah, they usually come to every show. But yeah, I'm in the process of finding a band because it's a very big sound. Uh, when I was recording the album, I had enough to record it, but not enough for session musicians. So I had to do everything myself, and so it was like such a neat process. And also having working with Louis Bernstein at this, he had a small home studio in Auckland, in New Zealand, and he like yeah, he was this white New Zealand guy, and was able to like understand kind of my vision. And working with him was so easy, where he even learned how where to mic me for the neutrunal syllables and when it would pop. And he started learning like little things like that, which I'm like, I'm sure you never realized you were gonna do that. And but yeah, I think it's such a big sound. So that's the next piece that I'm looking for is to build a band around that. Because right now I just usually play it solo. And the few times I've had a couple friends join me on stage and play bass and drums, which I'm so grateful for. But yeah, it's been a fun process.
Nice. That's so awesome, the like process of um understanding how to record your sounds in your language. I had an experience recording a Snuneymuxw elder, and yeah, it was really interesting to see how what the differences are of recording a indigenous language and the sounds that come from our languages. So that's really cool that you had someone that was really supportive and like willing to kind of experiment and yeah. Sabina, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I just love that. It's very emotional, very evocative of emotion and spirit and feeling. Like I just got the chills like right away in the beginning, and then it brought forth emotions and just so much strength and joy coming from the youth, like towards the youth, and just depicted in such a beautiful way. Your sister is a great, both of them are great actresses, and your mom, like that video is so good. That supports your music, and your music is like, I can see why what you call is perfectionism is actually just like, you know how some art is just so detailed that it looks so real? Your music looks so real. And that is so it's so defined and refined in such a beautiful way, Kalila. All the parts and everything, and that video to me, like, I'd love your mom and, your sisters to know that it it's like they put their real into it, so it's, like, so real. It's so when you see the look and she just looks back at the being and sees that warrior and spirit and that strength, and she acknowledges it as she's holding that really was emotional for me. And so yeah, the art is really gonna hit a lot of chords for people. And as I have seen you evoke that as well on stage live. This is another level of that. It's really powerful, Kalila, and I'm really happy to see that. Merci for sharing.
Thank
We are lucky to get to
you.
see that today, and um, I'm not gonna record it and share it or anything with anyone.
It'll be out soon. It'll be out soon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
promote it when it
Yeah.
comes out. Definitely. Yeah, we
Mhm.
all will, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Merci.
Thank you. I know an interesting part about the process of that song is a lot of the songs on my album, like I've written at a young age and they've evolved over the years. I remember when I was working on that song, that's the first song I recorded on the album. And it felt like there was a piece missing. And I was like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the guitar sounds. I don't know. And I kept going back to it. And and then I remember I asked myself, I was like, huh, what would my ancestors do? I was like, huh, I'm like, it's missing something. And then that's when I broke it down and it was just like the voice and the drum. And then it had that space to breathe. And then it felt complete. And then so yeah, I think it was a really interesting and fun process to do and to work through. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for watching and listening.
Beautiful. Beautifully put, both of you. Yeah, Sabina, you're right. We are so lucky. We are witnessing some really powerful gifts here today. Oh my goodness. I'm just my abluko goy pagodu. My heart is so bright right now. I would like to invite anyone, any attendees, participants to ask some questions. If you have any questions for Sabina, Kalila, or myself in the Q&A button here, you can just type them in the chat and we can get to answering some of them. But until I'll let those roll in if anyone has any questions, and I have some questions I can ask in the meantime. Firstly, where can people find you guys and how would you like to be supported? Maybe Amber or Rob could type in the chat so people kind of have that. Yeah, Sabina, Kalila, where can people find you?
Yeah. My mom says I'm really underground. So it's really hard to find me unless you see me live. But I have Instagram at Hassa Took. I'll be like I said, I'm putting that song will be out in like a day or two. Um, and so I'm hoping to have the album out in December. But yeah, and that's another interesting thing it brings up is platforms and what platforms do you think best supports artists in your music. So I've been really thinking a lot about that and not wanting to put it on Spotify, um, just because of the way it treats artists and the way it spends its money is not something that aligns with me. So that's been an interesting thing to navigate is where is it going to be. So just keep an eye out on Instagram. That's where I'll update. So yeah.
Look, well, I am.
Wow, yeah, that's a good question, eh, Kalila? Because it's almost like if you could keep it underground, it would almost be more desirable and actually have like CDs and actual merch like in the old days. Would be cool to have that as an aspect that some people don't have, that you could sell it directly from you to the people. To have a certain percentage of that would be cool, at least, because a lot of artists don't ever get that. They sell their intellectual property and end up, not distributing it the way they want. So it is really serious for you to think about, and I'm sure that must be a lot to maybe there's somebody you could reach out to that's an advisor in that way, that's been through a lot of the ropes as far as the industry goes. Rob maybe actually might have some good recommendations of people to reach out to, and I'll network around and talk to who I know, who I would think that might be able to help you in that area a bit. Because as far as platforms, often I don't like really posting my songs to anything really, social medias or any of those things really. I just feel like um I just don't want it to be out there until it's out there. Like unless I'm just playing it live or something. I find with all the AI and everything, I'm not willing to like give all my indigenous knowledge to AI at this point because basically as soon as it's on any platform, it can be used by AI. And I know that sounds kind of silly in a way because it'll get out there and it's good to get out there, but some things aren't. For me, it's like okay not to be too known or seen. And it's okay to just pop out and sometimes be like, "Hey," but it depends on what you need out of the art, like not what you need, but what you require to feel like you've really achieved where what you want with the music, right? Everybody has a different goal in mind for their music. And for me, the only reason I'm working on album is I really want it to be like sort of like a story or a part of history that is captured in music because the songs are all about different levels of mostly the struggles of our people in different aspects and the spirit of it and the strength and the 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 way we pass on information and gather information, things like that. So things that may be useful in the future, but at this point, I don't see so necessarily useful to the ears of now. There's so much content out there, and there's reasons why it's not the most desirable music necessarily, but I do believe in it that the content is important to pass on to the next generation, and hopefully maybe they can make something of it that's even more, or utilize it, use that information and bring it farther is a hope of mine. That would be awesome. So my idea of this album is I had an idea to just give it to after it's done and it's been known that I wrote these, that I just give it out to just give it to everyone to do as they want with it, not to have that as my intellectual property any longer. So people could write a song, like a dance song, and have some dacash in there and stuff like that. I thought that would be kind of like cool. It's an idea at this point.
Luglam. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I definitely have been in talks recently with my collaborators, my band, and my friends and family about, yeah, certain platforms and not necessarily aligning with a lot of the ethics of those platforms. My band has made the decision to not be on Spotify. You can find us on Instagram, Savvy Online, Savy Online. Um, and we are using Bandcamp as of right now because that's kind of just where I feel best if I'm going to put my music anywhere. But yeah, I completely agree. I feel really passionately about um, creating community in real life. And I've been talking about things like zines, things like newsletters to keep us connected, but moving off things like Meta and things like Spotify and their like, yeah. So I feel the same way. I'll end us off with some words before passing it to Rob, maybe. But before that, is there any final thoughts, Bina Kalila? Anything you want to say, or I'll just wrap us up.
Just thank you for having me. And yeah, it's been a really cool conversation. And I'm glad I could be part of this. And thanks to those that have been listening. But yeah, thank you, Chu.
I too just want to say, Nena Child, yeah, thank you to everyone. And um, thank you for inviting me today to be a part of this panel. And I hope everybody life goes smoothly and that if mistakes are made, that we find out about them so that we're able to correct them in a good way. And Masi, thank you.
Oh, glam. I'll end this off. It's a phrase, gilk skin, Gilksamanias can take care of yourselves. Keep your names good. Oh, why wach. I'm very, very grateful. Blukwa ayeltkanu for everything shared from Sabina and Kalila. What a beautiful conversation, beautiful songs. I really invite everyone to have a practice of medicine after we sign off here. Some really beautiful emotional things shared, and anytime we open our hearts and share our creations, it really is, in the words of my cousin Gwagwadachla, lifting the veil, and that's really tender. So I really invite everyone to take care of yourselves after this, and I really hope to stay connected with everybody. And why wach gilksamaniaskin luko toyach sitnisam, and maybe I'll pass it to Rob to send us all off.
Oh, Lisa, how panelists, how to the audience and the wonderful questions, how Lisa for double duty. That's a lot to do both and respond and then ask questions and keep everything in check. Wonderful work. How for Amber working in the background and making everything happen. Truly, I really appreciate today's conversation. Hope everyone has a wonderful evening. And the thing that kind of came throughout the conversation, for me at least, as a newish Hadkill learner, is Gwadalin Gadath Kwagidan, and everything's connected to everything else. So I'd like to leave it at that. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.